the meat of what we're here for. As was mentioned, let me just for 1 quick minute, just a look. The young man who's going to lead our session is definitely qualified to be the one leading us today. He is firstly a man of God. He is a husband and a father. He is a counselor and a famous author. And we're making sure that each of your schools purchase one of these books, at least one, for your library. Okay, so you'll be able to actually get a chance to see this book in short order. Thank you, Mrs. Ward. Okay, he has many experiences of booking young people of all ages. And he even has several of his own experiences that I know he's going to share with us this morning. I like to just share a little about persons who are coming to speak and share with us, because I know a lot of times you're like, okay, how come you all choose him? Why is he going to speak to us or lead our sessions? But when this young man starts speaking, you will see why. So at this time, I want you to put your hands together. Oh, just before you put your hands together, I just need to beg pardon. I have to dash out for a few minutes. I am the principal of Arlen Hill Primary and my school is having sports. My PE teacher wants to know where I am. So I'm going to be out for about 10 minutes, but I will be back. But I'm leaving you in the very care of Mr. Wayne Carey. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you so much, Ms. Walker. Appreciate that. You guys enjoyed yourself so far? You enjoyed yourself so far? Come on, give yourself a round of applause for being here this morning. All right, a round of applause for being here. Well, I gave out just before we get into the meat of what we're going to discuss today. We're going to build a platform off of, I gave you guys some tables. I gave you something to dramatize. All right, so I'm going to start with Bishop Michael Allen. Since this is your spot, we're going to start with Bishop Michael Allen. Come on, put your hands together for Bishop Michael Allen, who's going to come and give us a scenario of bullying. Somebody's going to take the mic and say what we? Yeah, you can do it. What you want to say? Just come. Take the stage. No? Okay, I guess you can say it right here. Say it.
Good morning. We were assigned physical bullying, so how are we going to start? Jaron, Lincoln, and Elias are standing around talking. Gabe and Chandra walks in. Lincoln pushes Gabe against the wall. And Gabe runs to the back, is scared. Jaron and Lincoln push him against the floor and start beating him up. Janaya, Jada, and Penelope are the instigators. runs on stage trying to stop the bullying, while the bullies run off. Eric helps Shante up and they walk out together. This is a display of physical bullying and Eric was the hero.
Come on, let's give it up for Bishop Michael Ellis. Thank you so much. All right, awesome. All right. Physical bullying. We have next, we'll call St. Paul's. Come on, give it up for St. Paul's in the house. Come on, let's go St. Paul's. What do you guys have? What form of bullying you have? Verbal? Okay, come on, let's go. St. Paul's, come on, give it up for St. Paul's. Thank you once again, Bishop Michael Evans. Someone needs this. One, two.
Good morning. Our skit is based on verbal bullying. Y'all think I have to look like that? I'm a jacket dusty.
Them bust up you.
So, Delano, why are you hanging with all?
You can date that?
No. Here comes Marvin.
Let's give it up for St. Paul's. St. Paul's. You gotta put it into it. You guys know what verbal is. Okay, coming up next. Mary Star, Chaplain Academy. Come on, let's put up for Mary Star. What are you guys going to be doing? Ready? Go, guys.
Good morning. So the balloon we have is emotional bullying.
Hey, you messed up on 963. Are you sure you'll get it in time?
Now that you think of it, I may actually not be.
I mean, you could always do it for you if you want.
I couldn't overhear. I couldn't help to overhear any of this. Why don't one of you be the understudy?
In the end, our hero talked sense into Alyssa, and she saw that it was her fault and allowed Lavon to have the part.
Seriously. Literally hit
Double, let's give him a Mary Star. Tabernacle is up next. Somebody get the mic. Huh?
The scene is cyberbullying.
Girl, stop playing. You lying. Say it now.
Cheryl had just received X-rated photos.
Shut up.
Where's the body?
I see where he's coming from. I'm sorry.
Wait, but we ain't have no control of what she doing. Any good man, why not? I did it.
All right, cool. All right. Cyberbullying. That's good. Come on, give yourself a round of applause. Awesome. Good. All right, we're talking today about, and all of those, while we were in the meeting, putting this together, speaking with Ms. Smith, and just talking about how it is that, you kids know exactly what goes on in schools, so we could kind of just put you on the spot. And all you guys had an idea and know exactly what bullying is, what verbal bullying is about, physical bullying is about, because you've seen it, you've heard it. All right, and so today, with the time that I have, we're going to look into stand up and be counted. Stand up and be counted. And the purpose, the lesson purpose, our job as adults is to encourage our kids. And all kids take responsibility and not accept the role of the victim that is being imposed on them. And so the definition, I'll give you the definition of the bully. The bully is anyone who pushes others down to push themselves up. The bully is anyone who pushes others down to push themselves up. The bully is seeking separation by placing himself apart over others. And he or she wants to be higher, stronger, and otherwise look better than others. And I'm sure you guys can identify with persons like that. So the scope of the problem. In discussing the concept of bullying, it is important to remember that this interaction, it happens everywhere, not just in youth, but it happens in the adults as well, or in adulthood as well. And however, the effects are most severe with youth because of the long-term implications. And we heard Ms. Ward mention this, the long-term implications. She spoke of being in the 6th grade. And I'm sure she looks young, but she's older now, much older now. So 6th grade, and she's talking about this. I did a presentation over at St. Paul some years ago. And when I did the presentation on bullying, there was a teacher who went back to the time she got bullied, and she expressed her anger then. And so it has, we look at bullying as just on the surface and it's just like now, but the effects of it, we carry with us. And that's what we want to make you aware and conscious today of bullying. We might see it as a joke. We come together, we laugh, but it's an effect, like Ms. Ward had mentioned, 6th grade, and she could remember it. They had on the red shoes, a song that they sung, they teased her, and she could remember that at 6 years old. At the 6th grade. And so it's a long-term implications. So they are just forming, watch this, young people. And this is what we have to think about. They are just forming ideas of who they are. Just forming ideas of who you are. You're just going into yourself, trying to understand yourself. And so as you're trying to understand yourself, here now is a person that is saying harsh things to you. They're bullying you. And this area is so very important when you talk about just your ideas just being formed about yourself. So when we look at it, along with maturing comes all of insecurities, and self-consciousness that gives the bully power over the individual and open the door to lifelong problems of low self-esteem, depression, poor school performance, and the many other negative results. This happens because of bullying. Okay? And so how do we begin to diminish the power of the bully? How are we going to diminish the power of the bully? And this is what we're going to do. Number one, I want you to write this down. Lift up. Lift up. Look to the person next to you and say, lift up. Come on, I can't hear you. Say, lift up. Okay? So use your power to help others. We saw that. Someone was the hero in that. Lift up. So use your power to help others. Okay? Booker T. Washington said, there are two ways to use your strength. Two ways that we can use our strength. We can push people down, or we can pull people up. And that's a decision that you would make in your school. Are you going to push someone down, or are you going to lift them up? How many of you are going to pull them down? How many of you are going to lift them up? Come on, raise your hands. Okay, we're going to lift them up. And so this is what I want you to do for me. I want someone to come. I don't want to pick on my school. Someone come. We didn't use Jack Haywood. Me use a young man right here from Jack Haywood, right there on the end. Come with me. This is what happens with the bully. Okay? When the bully pushes someone, is pushing someone down, this is what happens to the bully. I want you to go down with me. I'm pushing him down, but I'm going down also. Now to you, you may look at it, you say it isn't like this. You're pushing him down. The bully actually goes down with the person. You bring yourself to that degree. When you bully a person, when you push them down, you go down with them. All right? Give the young man a round of applause. And so, in life, when you begin to push people down, you do not better yourself. When you push someone down, you don't better yourself. You lessen yourself. You lessen yourself when you push someone down. Likewise, at the same, if you're trying to pull someone up, you are also improving yourself. You are improving yourself. So when you push someone down, you're lessening yourself. When you pull someone up, you are actually becoming the better person. So what you do to others will have its effect, good or bad, on you as well. So you have a choice. Do you want to be a push-down person or a pull-up person? Think about it. Okay? I want you to write this down. The story about the Good Samaritan. I like this. The story about the Good Samaritan. And I think all of us, we fit this. The victim is the person who was robbed and left on the side of the road to die. So he was robbed, left on the side of the road to die in the Bible. And the other three people are those who pass by, and it is in their actions or non-action that the lesson on our own behavior can be learned. So number one, the robber. This is the way how the robber thinks. So the robber says, what is mine is what? So what is yours? The robber says, what is yours is mine, and I'm going to take it. That's the robber. So the bully thinks this way. That's the bully. This is the mindset of the bully. What is yours? We had a physical situation. They freed up the young man and took his money. I think that's what you guys did. You all took his money, right? Bishop Michael Allen, you all took his money? You did. All right? So what is yours is mine, and I'm going to take it. This is the mindset of the bully. Number two, the passerby.
who goes to the other side of the road. The passerby goes to the other side of the road. A lot of times in school, what we hear in school a lot of times say, snitches get stitches. We hear that a lot of times. What we do, we are not going to involve ourselves in anything that we see in school. We take the back way, and we see it and pretend as if we don't see it. And that doesn't make you any better. And so when we talk about leadership or as a leader and being a hero, the passerby who goes to the other side of the road is not the hero. What is mine? This is the concept of the passerby. What is mine, and I'm going to keep it. Ms. Ward had mentioned a selfishness about, or there's an unselfishness about leaders. Unselfishness. Because if you are unselfish, you're not thinking about yourself and your own surroundings. You're thinking about other persons and how to make this environment better. So the passerby who goes to the other side of the road thinks, this is his concept, what is mine, and I'm going to keep it. In other words, this describes a person who doesn't want to be involved in the majority of people's lives. He doesn't really care. So he goes on the other side of the street. He doesn't see it. And believe it or not, that's the majority of people. It's the majority of people. They kind of just go on the other side of the street, and that's just it. They pay no mind to what is going on, and they just leave it as is. But number three is the Good Samaritan. The Good Samaritan is the person, watch this, who jumps in to assist. And so what we did intentionally, we had all of you, you played that role, and there was someone in there who was a hero. Someone stood up and began to talk and, kind of stop it, to cease it, and they move on from there. But the Good Samaritan, this is the person who jumps in to assist, seeking help for the victim and even paying for it from his own pockets. So he didn't look on his own self. He says, you know what? And so the Samaritan attitude is, what is mine is yours, and I'm going to give it. And that's the leader. That's the hero. What is mine is yours, and I'm going to give it. And so, as above, which person are you? And more importantly, who do you want to be? Do you want to be the robber, the bully? Do you want to be that person who just sees it, goes on the other side of the street? Or you want to be that Good Samaritan? And that's something we got to think about. So number 2, stand up. Stand up. Okay, lift up was 1, stand up, number 2. Stand up is be confident in your own value. Be confident in your own value. And John Maxwell, in his book, Winning with People, he explains that we don't see people, and this, I want you to listen to this. He explained that we don't see people as they are. He says we see them as we are. So how we interact, bullying doesn't depend on who the bully is, on the bully's actions, but on how we think of ourselves. So we don't value ourselves, we are in prime position to become the victim of a bully. And the higher we value ourselves, the more likely we are to stand up to the bully's actions for ourselves and for others. So however, here it is. While our kids are figuring out who they are, while you're figuring out who you are, this is what happens. They are seeing for themselves 100,000 acts of violence on TV and in movies. By the time they are 6th grade, that 6th grade comes up again. So we got so many things that goes on the TV. We watch it violently, and it becomes nothing. So here it is now. The culture itself teaches them, or teaches us, to not be offended at witnessing the act of bullying. And so it carries over. We watch it, and we watch it on the TV. And while we watch it on the TV, it's kind of just desensitized us. So it's like we see it, but it's like nothing. So when we see someone actually being bullied in school, it's like nothing to us because, man, we didn't see someone get blown. They got their head blow off in the movie. Some science, we didn't see it. So it's like it's nothing to it. So you don't feel it. You tend not to act to it. All right? Now here it is. I'm going to give you a little bit of my story. So a lot of times we kind of just see each other. We see each other, but never know where they came from, their background and all that. And I was sharing with the lady in the back. I was sharing with her about my mom. And my mom doesn't like me to really talk about her that much. She's a humble lady, call her prayer warrior. But even before that, I think I can go back as far as the third, fourth grade, I met a beautiful teacher named Renee Russell. I think you guys could identify with her over at St. Paul's. Renee Russell at the fourth grade, I met in the third, fourth grade at Lewis Yard School. And I was the bully in the third, fourth grade. And there was this young lady, I think this was my first encounter. There was this young lady, something she said, and I got in trouble. So when I got in trouble, Miss Russell knew my behavior. So she pulled me aside, she said, and she beat me, give me the ruler. Say, you, and if you touch that girl, when you all walk home, because Louis Yard, we tend to we walk home. Say, I can beat you, and if you touch that girl, I can beat you again. So you know what I said in my mind? All right then, you're gonna have to beat me again. So what happens, man, we walking down the road, and I hold that girl, and I beat her, push her in the bushes. And so she came back to school the next day. Miss Russell, we ain't push me in the bush and beat me up. Young man, come here, pop up. She beat me, kind of just, and so it goes from the fourth grade. But here it is now. When I went to Sunland School, I went over to Sunland. And when I went to Sunland, matter of fact, it was in the second grade. In the second grade, I was at Sunland School. And here's what the principal did at Sunland. They put me out of school in the second grade. I get put out of school. They told my dad, say, this young man cannot be a part of our school. So they put me out. So what happened, the playground, I was the king of the playground. That was my spot. When break time come, I got my spot, and I run in the show on the playground. Bullying from small. And so I went from Sunland, Lewis Yard, and when things kind of died down at Sunland, I went back to Sunland. So I went back. So my father worked there, so I had a door open, so I went back to school. But when I went back to school, and I remember, beating guys up in the bathroom, bloody in their nose. Seriously. But here's what happened. And it was like, so I went from Sunland to Hawksbill. And if you understand Hawksbill had about 1,600 deep. 1,600 deep. I'm talking about the biggest school in the Caribbean at that time, Hawksbill High. So when I went to Hawksbill, I came from Sunland. Sunland had like about 20, I think I had about 22 kids in my classroom then, when I left Sunland. But when I went to Hawksbill, I had 40. Classroom tight. So I'm kind of getting familiar. So 9th grade was kind of just getting my foot in, kind of feeling my way out. 10th grade, I started playing basketball. So I was at 15 years old playing basketball and as the starter on the team. So I was starting, head got swollen and, the jock on the campus, kind of authorizing some things quietly. Then I started taking the money. But there's one particular time, and there's one particular incident that happened. I went on the bus after school one day. When I went on the bus, sat down. So this guy sat next to me. I didn't have any money. Big guy. He was bigger than I was too. So I looked at him. I said, bro, you can pay my way on this bus today. I said, you can pay my way. Man, so this guy's like, he started cursing and can't. But pay your way, but you think you kill it. Pay what way? But you always be tripping yourself out, but pay what? So I say, everything cool. Honestly, I sat right next to him, just like this. I didn't say anything. But when we step outside the bus, I looked him in his eyes. You know what? I can deal with you tomorrow. Everything good. I can deal with you tomorrow. My way. So I came to school, and this guy was like in the doorway of his classroom, like standing up like this. And like I was passing him. So he's like just watching me. Guys just watching me, right? So what I did, I walked like to the back door, and he didn't know where I come from. Catch him like this. I mean, this fella like roll over the floor, break off, run into the office. Listen, all because he don't want to pay my way. I ring him for no reason. So we go inside the office, and he's talking. This guy's like, I mean, he's out of breath talking. Oh, he slapped me for nothing. And I'm dead calm. Come on, man. You all believe this fella's story? You think I can rush up on him and slap him for no reason? Being a bully. And just doing it. And there's a lot of people that I owe an apology to if I were to see them to this day. I've seen a teacher got bullied from one of my best friends. I mean, that day I actually was the hero that day. Even though I was a bully, I played the hero that day when I saw the situation. A teacher in school. And this was the story here. The teacher is marking the paper. Everyone got their paper back. My boy say, call me Slinger. Slinger, man, what you get? I said, I get a B, boy. Fella say, I said, what you get? Fella say, I get a B too. So I look at my boy, the next one. I said, bro, I said, what you get, man? Fella say, but this fella's be joking, you know, boy. Huh? But this fella give me F, boy. So I said, bro, but if he give you F, that's what you got. So this guy walks up to the teacher and walk up to him. But look, if you don't change this grade, I'll tear your head off in this classroom. Yep. All of a sudden, this fella starts shaking. Fella looked through anyone have any liquid paper? This fella started changing it. I said, who's so wrong for this? I say, we study and we took the test. I said, you got an F, then you got an F. But I didn't know what you got to say, but this fella got to change this grade. Marching his teacher right up. But whatever, maybe he changed the grade, but they didn't have to go in the grade book. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, we was in that environment, and being in that environment, believe it or not, and Ms. Ward could testify because most of the persons, she was there at school, these guys didn't die out. They didn't. And for me, had I not changed, and I'll tell you where the change come, had I not changed, I would have been in prison or I would have been in jail to this day. Because what's going to happen, see the bully, if the bully doesn't change, what's going to happen to the bully? He can take someone's goods and they can deal with him. That's what's going to happen. So between the 11th and 12th grade, this guy would always come and give me $5. Always come give me $5. Man, yeah, boy, give me this money. Yeah, man. Good. So when he does that, my friend's thinking he's my friend. So there's like, but that's your boy. I say, yeah, man, that's my boy. So days gone and weeks pass. And one day, this guy walked up to me, and when he went to put his hand in his pocket to give me this money, my heart melted. My heart melted. When he went to give me the money like that, man, I took him by the shoulder, and I walk off from a distance. I said, bro, listen. I said, keep the money, man. I said, keep the money. I said, I want you to know, bro, I'm sorry for even, you know what I mean? I said, everything good, man, but you keep the money. And honestly, from that day, that's when I became the person that intervened when I see persons being taken advantage of. It's like a change. I see it literally, seeing a person taken advantage of. When I see that, it's like something goes on inside of me. I get involved and I say, listen, you can't do that. And so that's why the book came about. That book came about, my wife is here, and she could tell you that book came about, in the morning, I just got up. So she's like, I said, baby, where you going? I said, man, I'm going to write this book. She said, a book? I said, yeah, man, I got to write this book on bullying. And the book that I wrote is called The Emotional Pain That Bullying Causes. And with the emotional pain that bullying causes, there was a part in the book where if I were to go across this room and ask you about some nicknames that you know is a downgrade nickname, you have the nickname. Because there's persons in your school that has a name that they don't like, but it's like attached to them. It's attached to them. And so I wrote a part in the book, it's called, What is Your Name? And what is your name? Because when someone in school, and they're like Miss Ward complexion, the teacher complexion, you know what they calling them? Yellow. That's the name there. Yellow. When you're black, and you guys know purple, I'll call purple. Purple don't mind me calling this name. Purple. You all know purple. Well, Maro. Purple. well, but watch this. Here it is, right? These names comes up. These names comes up because kids can be very, very cruel. Very cruel. If you see someone they're in school and they just walking like this or something like that, it's like all of a sudden, this fella, he got a nickname. But we not thinking about his limp. We're not thinking about the psychological part, what's going on. We just looking at it as a joke, and we put this name, we attach this name on this guy. He's walking like this. I saw a young lady in school. You can't notice it because she's so good with how she walks, but one of her legs is shorter than the next, and she walks like right on her toes like this. But you can't really notice it. And it's like there's always a nickname that's going to be attached to someone in school that is, so to speak, look different. Black boy, yellow, someone, if they heavy, we got a nickname for them. If they skinny, we got a nickname for them. If they got a nationality, there's a nickname for them. If they live in a certain part of the neighborhood, there's a nickname. If they wear a certain brand tennis, and it ain't Nike and it ain't the N shoes, we can tease them to death or tease them to death. But that's where the emotional things comes in. The emotional things comes in just like that. And so when we talk about leadership and this symposium, when we talk about leadership, this is what we got to do. So when we talk about, when we look at our own situations, so here it is. Every one of you in here, you are a 10. If we got a 10, your potential is a 10. Your potential is a 10, everyone in this room. Your potential is a 10. You are unique in your own way. You're unique in your own way. I saw something the other day. This lady was looking for a job. And now she's looking for a job. She didn't have any hands. No hands, but she was looking for a job. And she's driving with her feet. And she rolling, moving through, driving. She goes inside the house, making a sandwich, opening up the fridge, and she doing everything with her toes and making it happen. So she is telling them, she got the video set on her, and she is showing them, I could type, I could work. And she is doing this with no hands but feet. And so in all of us, God has placed something in all of us. It's like survival techniques. It's inside you. A survival instinct is inside you. So every one of us, we are unique in our own way. But here is now, in our uniqueness, watch where we have to become upset with the scenario of the bully. Because in your being 10 potential, And in your uniqueness, here is the bully. The bully doesn't want you to shine. The bully stops your momentum when you start to believe in yourself and you start saying that I could do this, I could do that. All of a sudden now the bully comes along and tell you you are not unique. The bully actions towards you is that you are not a 10, you are not unique. And here it is, you are gifted. Everyone in here has number 10, potential. You are unique, you are gifted. And you have the opportunity to make the right choices, and the most important, and here it is, and I based the book off of this. It's called the Golden Rule. What is the Golden Rule? Can anyone tell me what the Golden Rule is? Say that again. Hold on, man. I get it. Say that. Say that again. All right. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? So, the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And if you live by that, you would not hurt people. You would not hurt people. You would actually intervene for every time that you see a person is being taken advantage of. You wouldn't turn the eye and go in the corner. You would be the good Samaritan. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So how do you like to be treated? You want someone to treat you nice. You want someone to say good things about you or to you. And so in my life, I've become intentional about what I say to people. Very intentional. Intentional about what I say to people. And it's always to lift them up and to make them feel better. I look in the crowd, and if the person doesn't look, if the person looks off, seems like they don't have a good day or they didn't wake up, so to speak, on the wrong side of the bed, that's the person who I go to. Man, what's going on, man? How things going? That's who I look for. And so what Jesus did, you guys know what the underdog is in sports? What is the underdog? Yeah, what is the underdog?
All right. Okay, so the underdog normally is a team or a person that you don't expect to win, or who isn't expected to maybe perform the best. So normally they get rooted for so it's like they'll either presume the role for motivation, or it's just from a talent level themselves.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Come on, give him a round of applause. That's awesome. That's good. And so for me, what my focus is, I focus on the underdog. That's what my focus is. Wherever I go, I focus on the underdog. I don't necessarily want the high flyers. Give me the fella who, you know what I'm saying, that one who they saying, and you know what I'm saying, he isn't going nowhere and things will mash up with him. Probably maybe a D or F average. That's the one I want right there. The A and the B, somebody else could have them. I'll kind of work with them and give me the underdog. See, and so the underdog needs a hand up. The underdogs need a hand up. So that person who's been counted out, who is underprivileged, who got already have everything going against him, that's who I look for. And so, but imagine this. Imagine someone already the underdog, don't have no lunch money. Their clothes all wrinkled up. You could see things mash up with them at home. You could see it. But on top of how they feel at home, they come to a school environment where they should be embraced, and that should be a healthy school environment where they get mashed up even more. So this is where the thought of suicide comes in. Could you imagine playing a role where a person doesn't want to come to school? A parent was over at one of the primary schools, and she noticed her son all of a sudden, when this fella hit the school gate, he in the back of the car, he ain't want to come out the car. Say, what's going on, boy? School and you in this car, but you better come on this car. But pull it. Come, let's go to the office. Come to find out when they check, they got one fellow owning the blocks. Every time when he hit that side up, he come here, but let me up this. So here it is now. Can you imagine an environment in school where persons don't like to? How many of you like school? You love school, right? You meet some good friends, and school is a good place. You come to learn. There's stresses that comes with it, but you like school. You could get out the house, you could have lunch, you could get a good grade, you're developing as a young person. All of those things comes, but could you imagine not liking school because someone in that campus, on that campus, they targeting you? So it's two things is what's going to happen. A lot of times what you see, they can kill themselves, they can turn it on them, or they can turn it on you. That's really what happens. Okay, so number 3 is pick up. Number 3 is pick up. Number 1, lift up. Number 3 is pick up. So help someone who is being bullied by picking them up. And that's what it's about. So the bully pushes down, but the hero is picking up. So here's the definitions of hero. Miss Ward touched on this earlier. The definition of a hero is all heroes have something in common. And here's what they see. They see what's right, and they say that it is wrong. That's what they do. They see what is right, and they say what is wrong. It cannot be, and I must change it. That's what the hero does in the school. Something is wrong. I see something that is not right, and they say that it is wrong, and so what they do, they're going to change it. They make the effort to change it, whether they stand by themselves or whether they just put a group together and say, look here, I see this here, this need, and it goes on. And so here's some examples. We have just had a holiday pass in the U.S., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, and these are persons who stood up and sacrificed in their era to make a difference, even though it caused them. So if you're living for a cause, I think there's a quote, if you're living and the cause that you're living for, if it is not worth to die for, then you don't really get there yet. And so that's what it's about. So these guys stood up, and even though they know that it would probably cost their lives, they say, you know what? There's something that's wrong with this, and I'm going to stand up and we're going to change it. Okay? Mother Teresa, through going the streets and feeding and the poor people. So here's what happens. So the problem, here's what happens. I want you to think about this. The problem itself, watch this, the problem itself creates the situation that is ripe for the hero. The problem itself creates the situation that is ripe for the hero. So you have this problem in school. You know this block over here, the fellas them taking the money. They smoking dope. Their grades ain't right. You know what's going on. You know the failures in your school. You know situations that is going on in your school. But here it is, the problem itself creates the situation that is ripe for the hero. And it is an opportunity to be significant. It's an opportunity for all of us to be significant. So here it is now. The problem itself creates the situation that is ripe for the hero to step in and make a difference in your school. And that's what I want you to commit today. And not just, see, here's the question. Are leaders born or leaders made? Born or made? Who say a leader is born? Help me out here, guys. Kids? Born? Okay. Leaders right here? Anyone? Huh? Made? 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 Born, made? Watch what happens, right? Leaders that we could always develop, okay? A leader, someone said, what is a born leader? Okay, yeah, they could have some qualities that makes him a leader, but at the same time, too, a leader is made. A leader is made, not necessarily you just born and say, okay, I'm a leader. No, a leader is literally, so it's things that you could see in your own life and you could begin to work on. Someone mentioned organizational skills. Someone mentioned, becoming mentally tough. So all these things, you don't just come out the womb and all of a sudden it's like you are made a leader. You are made a leader. And so situations happens, and it's for a true leader steps in and change the situation. And that's what great leaders did in the past, and that's what we need in our generation, leaders. And this is beyond school. It starts here, but it goes beyond school. So, how does an individual take up the opportunity? How do you take up the opportunity? One, you lift up others, you stand up for others, and you pick others up. That's what you do. You lift others up, you stand up for others, and you pick others up. All right? This is one of the other points I'm going to talk about. We're going to shift gears a little bit, and I want us to look at this particular area right here. There was a young lady in our church, and she talked about, as a kid growing up, she always looked in the mirror, and she used to say to herself that she's ugly. And so what she would do, she would take pills to fill her face out, and her parents would call her names and siblings and all that, and she developed literally a low self-esteem. She just felt real bad about herself. And I remember I spoke out a Sunday morning to youth church down in 8 Mile Rock. The church in 8 Mile Rock was their youth Sunday. And I kind of just used her story. And I gave the opportunity for persons to come to the altar. And the altar, but 5 or 6 young ladies came to the altar, whether it was salvation. And I kind of just put my ear to the young lady and I asked her, what do you want me to pray for? And she just started crying. I don't love myself. And we would never come out and say that we don't like ourselves. We'll never say that in open. But a lot of us, we struggle with self-esteem, struggle with loving ourselves and valuing ourselves and embracing our gift and our uniqueness and our significance. We struggle with that, but we'll never say it. So we kind of, when we among everyone, we like, man, we tough, hey, we got this swag. But it happens where we don't feel love. We struggle with that. And so, just before I take my seat, the importance of self-esteem. The importance of self-esteem. That's very important. So, and working with children and teens, this is what I've recognized. I've been able to gain a great insight into what it takes to maximally effective, to be maximally effective with others, say most productive, other persons, some is business. And what I come to find out, so whenever people struggle in their communication and in their relationships, health issues, diminished quality of life experience, and in short, so whenever all these things happen, or in a sense, the negativity attracts to them. So it goes on and talks about the realities of working with kids and finding where kids don't accomplish much. Here's the one common denominator. Was typically present all the time. The underlying factor is lacking self-esteem. So if I have 2 persons here, 2 persons, or if I always use this as an example, we got this room, we're sitting at the table, and while we're sitting at this table, you could have a brilliant idea. Just say Ms. Ward says, or Ms. Smith says, okay, I want to do something for a student where that I could pay, I'll pay 2 years tuition for them to go off to college. But I want them to come up and give a presentation, but for 15 minutes, impromptu. I want them to do it now. And if they do it, I would give them a 2-year scholarship. And so what happens? Someone sits down, they have everything inside them to get up and to do this impromptu speech. But then they knees buckling, they shaking, scared. You could speak better, you present better, but fear cripples you, and you sit down. And here is this other person, they scared just like you. They knees buckling, they can't even speak as well as you, but they daring enough. But look, I can do this, I can get this scholarship. All of a sudden they go up there, they shaking. Someone may laugh at them, they may fumble a little bit too. But all of a sudden, they shaking and they doing it. And when they present, man, I sure your presentation probably would have been better than theirs. But you sit down and you allow fear to cripple you because you don't feel good about yourself. And so persons who don't feel good about themselves, who have a low self-esteem, they are low achievers. They let a lot of things pass them in life because they say to themselves, I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm not good enough. And this is what they say to themselves. But the person who is daring enough to stand up, even though they fear is there, they work through fear, they get the they get that 2-year scholarships. And that's what happens a lot of times. So when we talk about persons being achievers from persons who are not being achievers, it has to do with how you feel about yourself. You say to yourself, I'm not worthy, I can't do this. And that's what you do. And so the underlying factor is lacking self-esteem. And we're not going to say it. So studies show that high self-esteem is the #1 ingredient essential for developing happiness, fulfillment, rich relationships, and overall success in life. And so my definition of what comprises high self-esteem is more encompassing. Here it is. Than most. So it starts with personal power, which is our ability, watch this, to produce an intended result with velocity. You are saying to yourself, hey, you know what? This is a goal that I have, and I'm going to achieve this goal. The person that has that self-esteem and have this personal power, these are the person that accomplish their goals and achieve. These are achievers. But if you don't feel this way, if you say to yourself, you don't feel good about yourself, there's so much things that you're going to miss. There's a lot of things that you're going to miss. And so here it is. When someone is, there's a teacher was talking and giving an example. And the teacher was talking about how she saw this kid in the school. And when she saw this kid inside the school, she recognized that this kid stood out. And this kid stood out. Walk inside the class, this guy has this, his shirt stiff, starch up. He walked inside the classroom, all the other kids talk, but she's like, for some reason, this one particular kid just stood out to her. And so she said one day, they went on the road to do some witnessing and all that. And when they went to do this witnessing, she saw the young man. And she said when she went to this young man's house, his house was a house that almost wasn't livable. It almost wasn't livable. And this young man, he's like, my mommy and my Grammy live right over there in small little yard. When she go on inside me, and it's just like no rug, it's like they sweeping the dirt. But she says, Pastor Carey, what happened to me changed my whole view of self-esteem. She said, when I saw it was report card day. And she said when she was in the office, she heard this scream outside, like in the foyer, that's my king! That's my king! She walked outside, she said, when she looked, it's the young man's mother. And she said, that's my king, that's my king. So she said to herself, she said, okay, I see. His mother is behind him, and she is pumping this kid right up. Pumping him right up. He doesn't have much in him. She said, Mr. Carey, this young man is poor, but when he step inside, this fella got a presence with him. When he walk, when this fella talk, it's like, well, look here, I reach. So she says, but then on one end, these fellas them got $10, $15 for lunch, live all over the big houses, and they don't feel nothing but themselves. But this fella is like, when he step inside the room, this fella let me know I in the room. The focused one. And she said she understood that. So it has nothing to do, self-esteem and all that don't have nothing to do with wearing the shoes. Don't have nothing to do with having on the name brand clothes and whatever else you know what I'm saying, make you feel that way. No, it don't have nothing to do anything with that. It has to do with how you view yourself internally. When you recognize your value, your worth, that's the thing that gives you self-esteem. And so when persons have to, so a lot of times when we talk about the bully, see that bully want to make someone kind of toot his own horn. He want to make it that, man, look at the bully is the weakest one inside the room. The bully is the weakest one in the room because he need to feed off some negative energy to kind of build himself up and all that. That's what he does. The bully looks for the person who is weakest and grab them and shake them up so he could feel some way. And the bully doesn't have a self-esteem. And so she said, Pastor Carey said, my mind changed in terms of, I've seen kids live a certain place, their house big, their parents dropping them off in this particular car, and it's like they have it, but they don't have self-esteem. And this young man, she said, you know what happened later on? So this young man graduated, and I was able to run into him one day. And he's telling me, Miss, this is my wife, this is my son, I'm a lawyer now, I have an office. She's like, wow. And this fella, his mom was behind it. Well, it don't matter how much money we have. No, this is who you are. And so here's what the bully does. The bully, and that's why we have to kind of focus so serious on when we have incidents in schools like that. Because here's what the bully doesn't. The bully comes in the way and distract you from being everything that God says that you are. The bully comes to be definitely, the bully plays the devil role. He plays the role of the devil where that you would not feel significant and know your worth and your value and shoot you down. There's a young man in school, I met in school named Jeffrey Mill. I met Jeffrey. Jeffrey went to, and I told Jeffrey, I said, Jeffrey, I can make your name famous. And I told him I would make your name famous because Jeffrey was a fella like this. Jeffrey probably was right here this height. And Jeffrey was a fella in school that had a 4.0. I mean, I struggling with a 3.4. And Jeffrey got a 4.0. Like, I don't want to tear this fella head off just for being smart. I don't want to beat Jeffrey up just for being smart. And you believe that happens? Yes. I sat down and had a conversation with inside the barber chair, and the father's getting his hair cut. And the father is saying, man, look at my son, this fella is having 3.5, 3.6. All of a sudden I see my son drop from 3 point something to 2 point. But the guy fought with him. And he said, but here is right. When I check it out, but my son got pressure on him in school. And the pressure on him was this. But you lie, boy. These fellas that want you to settle. When you got the 3.5, all of a sudden they start being so nerd, but you aren't, but you like, you like man, this and that. All of a sudden, you start slipping. When you love, you got a 2.5, and they get, but you joking. I don't need your company. You got to be who you are. And so this fella began to talk about his son grades drop. His son grades drop, but Jeffrey, man, look at Jeffrey was a fella on point. But here's what I did one day in school. I said, man, look here. The highest my GPA was, I think, was about a 3.6 or something like that. And you know how it became that? I measured Jeffrey up. I walk up to Jeffrey. I said, boy, I won't tear your head off, you know, but here's what I can do. I said, boy, I can beat you, boy. I said, I can beat you this year. Man, Jeffrey, when I checked Jeffrey report card, 3.9. And last time I checked my report, I said a 2.8. When I look, I got a 3.5, a 3.6 for measuring myself up to Jeffrey. But I always wanted to, and you know what Jeffrey used to do? When I ready to rough Jeffrey up, Jeffrey used to stand on my face and say, but you can't do no. This fella, like he in my face and to this day, like I have the utmost respect for this fella. He's one of my best friends. And I always tell, I say, Jeffrey, I can talk with you. Because Jeffrey never crumbled. Small little fella, but he did his work and he said, but you won't gonna break me. And Jeffrey never came down to me, but indirectly, this fella caused me to rise up. And so I was glad I looked at it in that way. And so all around you, you're going to have persons who has been assigned to your life to stop you from fulfilling your destiny. They're in your life to stop you from fulfilling your destiny. So when we talk about esteem, self-esteem, communications, all of these things, watch what happens. All of this go into one. The bully, the low self-esteem or the self-esteem, the importance of that, the origin of self-esteem, you know what that happens between 2 to 6. And watch what happens. It happens when you make a mistake. When you make a mistake, say now you running on the track, little boy running, 3 years old, all of a sudden, boom, you fall landing. Everybody just, ha, 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 ha. All of a sudden, you keep that right in your mind right there. You keep that. All of a sudden, man, you start calling your own self, you clumsy. I can't run no more, I clumsy, this and that. And you form these things right there, the origin of it. It happens when we're young. It happens when something goes wrong. So we say to ourselves, man, I clumsy, I can't do that, I can't do that. Then you begin to ask yourself, where did this come from? Where it came from? When you've been born, when actually God live on the inside, you know, where did this thought came from? I was watching on YouTube one of the world's #1 motivational speaker, and this guy used to stammer. Not him, but the gentleman he was working with used to stammer. And this guy said to him he could not keep a job because his job consists of talking. So when he talked, he's stammering. And so he said, man, he got so discouraged, so he called Tony Robinson in. And when he called him in, Tony Robinson, honestly, I watched this video, but say between 5 to 8 minutes, this young man stopped stammering. Between 5 to 8 minutes. And you know what he did? He took him back. He said, asked him a question. When was the first time that you started stammering? So the guy said, I was this age. He said, okay. What was you doing? He said, I was watching a cartoon. He said, tell me what the cartoon was. And the cartoon that the young man was watching when he was a little boy was Bo Winkle. And Bo Winkle was a stammering cartoon fellow. He used to stammer, so he watched it, and then something was going on. So he began to talk about something was going on. His parents and was arguing, and he took him right back to that point. And he began to tell him, he said, okay, close your eyes. Say, inside you, say, I want you to release a scream. And this fellow, oh, say, release the warrior inside you. This guy, release it. Start like shouting. All of a sudden, fella said, okay, now say a sentence. My name is Junior. Fella's like, okay, more. My name is Junior. I live in a yellow house. My car is black. This guy talking, pop, pop. In the space of no time. So what he did after that, he allowed him to come and speak to about 5,000 people. Man, this young man get the microphone and start talking, walking and talking, owning the stage. And this fellow was stammering for years. Stammering for years. So a lot of times what happens, it happens when we small. The enemy try to grip you and make you say to yourself, you can't be this. You cannot do this. You can't accomplish this. You're too black. You're too ugly. You're dumb. Your parents is this. You from here. You live in the back. You're all poor. And all of these things, we sit back and we just start nodding our head and saying, boy, you know, that's true, you know. That's true. And we accept it. That's what we do. We accept it. But we don't have to accept the fact that we are everything that God says we are. That's what we got to understand. We got to accept those things. Accept who we are, understand our value, understand our worth. So, One more point. Those possessing personal power also have the ability to influence others. We talk about influence others. Leaders are influencers. So they know that this gift or their gift can translate into making bold requests, using their charisma to get their agenda heard, or otherwise doing whatever it takes to bring about their desired results. And so this is what I want you to do when we go back to school. I want us to go back to school with the mindset as leaders. Don't just have the title. When you see something and there's some things that you want to change, you say, you know what, there's some things that I want to do in my school, and you guys who are in the 8th, 9th grade, is good for you. That you could be able to look within your school, and if you see something that is wrong, in particular, kids being taken advantage of, you step up to the plate. So we have, in schools, we have the anti-bullying club, like Crystal mentioned. We have the anti-bullying club in most of the schools, and we could begin to work from right out of that anti-bullying club. You know what I'm saying? We're training. You could have some materials, be equipped in your own way, but the bottom line is that you want to make a difference in your environment. So when we talk about being a hero, that's what heroes does. Heroes look beyond themselves. Heroes look beyond themselves. So how many of you would make a commitment today that you're going to go back to your school and you're going to be a hero in your school? How many of you would make that commitment today? Okay, I want you to close your eyes, bow your heads, close your eyes. I want you to make some confessions today. I want you to make some confessions. I want you to say, Lord, I need your help. I need you to help me to make a commitment not to settle for mediocrity, but to be everything that you have called me to be. I'm making a commitment today that I am going to be a hero in my school, a hero in my family, a hero in my community. I'm going to stand, I'm going to uplift, I'm going to pull up, I'm going to be that person that's going to make the difference in my generation. Amen. God bless you. Amen. Come on, give yourself a round of applause. Amen. Give yourself a round of applause. I'm grateful to be able to share with you today, just to share some of my stories with you. Again, I want to recognize my group from school, Tabernacle. Come on, Tabernacle, make some noise, man. All right. Guys in Tabernacle, right in time is welcome. Right in time, yeah. Guys in Tabernacle, glad you came. We have a young man among us. Name is John Poitier. Stand up, John. Let me let them see you, man. John is, stand up, stay standing up. John is one of those kids that is, I think he's a guy that does the speeches. So he is one of those persons that's in the top 2, right? The top 3? Yeah, is this the debate, right? So when is that going to happen? On Friday. So he has the opportunity to win that. So we counting on John. Come on, put your hands together for John Poitier. Awesome kid. So you guys, be encouraged. And again, it's a challenge when you're saying you're going to be a leader. It's a challenge. You have opposition as a leader. But make up your mind that you're going to make a difference in your environment. Ms. Walker. Hey, thank you so much. Come on, put your hands together for Ms. Walker.
Tomorrow and beyond. So I have no doubt that this will have say a special thank you to Mr. Carey will be Maya Tate, who is a student from the Jack Hayward Senior High School. Give her a round of applause as she comes.
On behalf of all school representatives, we would like to thank the case for informing us on how and why one should lift up, stand up, pick up, and
Thank you so much. Ms. Carey, that's the first of many gifts.
Yes, thank you so
All
much.
right.
But we were so pleased to have Mr. Wayne Carey as our lead speaker this morning. If anyone knows about what it is to deal with relationships among young people, it would definitely be him. I love the fact that he used his own experiences as a bully in the past to help others get through issues they may have and work towards moving forward to being better people with each other and amongst each other. Okay, one of the main things that came out of the session is the fact that it's always good if you sit as a group with each other and perhaps role play before you decide to make any decisions. A lot of times you could decide how you're going to solve a problem if you just talk it through or even act it out. So that would be a wonderful way of solving problems as well.
Yvonne Ward, District Superintendent, Eastern Grand Bahama and the Keys. Today was really an awesome morning. I really applaud the Grand Bahama Principals and Vice Principals Association for once again putting on a very important symposium for our leaders in our schools. This topic is a very timely one on bullying. As you know, we have this in our schools and we cannot deny it. We can't bury our heads in the sand. We know that there are children who are being bullied, and so this morning we want to really sensitize our leaders so that they can now take the information that they have back into their schools and be the hero that they can be in defending those persons who are being bullied in the school. You know, we have to be very careful. Sometimes we think that because children are prefects or head boy and head girl that they're not bullies, but sometimes these are the very students who bully other children, looking down on them, teasing them, making them feel less than important, and causing them to have a very low self-esteem. We know that bullying has some long-term effects emotionally on our students, and even some adults today shared some of the emotional scars that they had by being bullied as children. And so this is very important. Pastor Carey was on point. We could not have found a better speaker, being a bully himself in school. And so this was so interesting. I did not want to leave. I had to stay and hear everything he had to say. And I am sure that the young people who are here are leaders in our schools. They've gotten a lot from it, and they can now go back into the schools and be the hero that they should be, standing up for those children who are being bullied in their schools. And so the only thing I would change, he had some role playing, which was really good and interesting. And but the only thing I probably would change was to have a little more question and answer period, so that they can ask him some questions and do some talking and sharing some of their experiences as well. So that was the only thing I thought was missing from this symposium. Other than that, I thought it was an excellent morning.
My name is Tamaji Williams, standing as head boy at Tabernacle. The symposium was an amazing experience. I think that I learned many things from it. Coming from a leading standpoint, it told me to be up and support others. What would I do to improve it? I think that to improve it, there should be more group intermingling. Instead of just being Tabernacle students working together, it should be Tabernacle, St. George's, Jack Hayward, also that. And I think that going forward, this symposium would further improve over the years and create young leaders for the Bahamas.
Hi, my name is Crystal McIntosh. I attend Tabernacle Baptist Christian Academy. I believe this symposium was an experience. It was great. I learned many things, like to stand up for people, don't go across the road in the Samaritan story. Don't be the person who passes by the victim. Be the Samaritan. Help others. Help them achieve the things that you think they can. If there's anything that I can change about this experience, it's probably would be to include more schools if possible, and encourage them to socialize if they can, amongst themselves, get to know each other, get to know that just this one school isn't about this one person, or they don't only care about this one thing.
Well, the presentation today is dealt with a topic that is international. I think some years back we would hear about bullying in the U.S. through the news and around the world, and we didn't really identify it so much in the Bahamas, but then we realized what bullying really is. It is here, and it is very, very evident in our schools. And so I think that when we decided to use this topic for the student symposium, we wanted to have students more prepared and exposed to what exactly it is and how they can deal with it, and give them some strategies and techniques for coping with interactions at school and outside of their life.